Hi, I'm Jody with the Excel program, and today I'd like to share some information about Essential Ed with you. Essential Ed is a fully online 24/7 program that you can use in order to better prepare for the HiSET exam or the GED exam. So basically, Essential Ed has GED Academy to prepare for the GED exam, and the HiSET Academy, which will help you prepare for the HiSET exam. Both preparations has similar, if not identical, content in several areas, because no matter which test you take, either the GED or the HiSET, they both earn the state of Nevada Department of Education high school equivalency. So the end result, the certificate, is the same, no matter which test you take. So when using Essential Education, it is really important that you log into the correct platform. This particular company has many platforms. And so when you log in, it will look just like the screen you see, but your credentials won't work. Okay, if that happens, the best thing to do is back all the way out of the program, and you choose your web browser. Chrome works really well. Mozilla and Firefox also work. Internet Explorer, there's sometimes a little bit of trouble with the graphics, so I would choose Chrome or Mozilla or Firefox for your web browser when using Essential Ed. So up in your search bar or your login area, you would choose www.essentialed.com/start/WNC, exactly as you see it here, except the www dot is missing. No worries, you don't have to remember this when you begin with Excel and you express interest in Essential Education. We set you up with an account. We give you your username and password, and also the login instructions. So that's provided to you. Okay, so here you log in just like the sample student with a name or an email. Most of the time it's an email, and your password, which is also given to you by Excel when you sign up to use Essential Education. And we press login, right? This particular screen shows 3 courses of study. Okay, so this particular student can study GED Academy, HiSET Academy, or College Essentials. Okay, so chances are when you sign up with Excel and you express your interest in using Essential Education, you will have access to only one of these. This is our demo student, so she has access to all 3. I think I will start with GED Academy, and then we'll flip to HiSET Academy. They look exactly the same when you look at the home page or the dashboard, whichever term you prefer. College Essentials is a little different, and that's another video, but it does work in much the same way as GED Academy and HiSET Academy. The difference is it is designed to help you pass the AccuPlacer or a college entrance or placement exam. Okay, so it's something, just know that when you earn your high school equivalency, if you want to go on to college or technical school or a different pathway, we also have College Essentials, which can help you prepare for that. Okay, so let's get started. Let's go to GED Academy. You just click on the blue link. And no matter if you go to GED Academy up here in the yellow or HiSET Academy, it will still ask you the same question. Are you studying at school during a class? Most of the time your answer would be no, because you may be using Essential Ed in your class or in conjunction with your class, but most of the time when you work with it, you're at home or at the coffee shop or wherever you choose to study. So more often than not, our answer is no. Okay. And it looks like we're in math. And this student has already taken an assessment, a self-assessment to populate the homepage in math. I want to show you. Good. So while the person has started math, the person has not done any work in social studies. And that could be for several different reasons. Perhaps he or she already took the HiSET or the GED in this case and already passed social studies. So they don't need to study social studies. And that would be why nothing has been done in the social studies subject. So when you begin a subject, when you begin using Essential Ed for the first time, every subject that you go to study will ask you to take a practice test or a self-assessment. Okay, and that's true whether you're studying GED Academy or the HiSET Academy. Okay, I recommend 100% of the time to use the self-assessment for a couple of reasons. One, the self-assessment will assess what you already know and level you at a higher level. Okay, so if you understand a concept, you're not wasting time and effort reviewing that concept or working on that concept. The system understands that you know it and moves you to the next level to save you time and so that you're as effective as you can be with this program. If you make a mistake or decide you want to take a practice test, you 100% can do that. But it's kind of like wasting or using a practice test before you even start to study, before you even know what level you're at. So that's why I always say take the self-assessment. That's the most efficient and effective way to begin using essential education. Okay. So let's go back to math, just because the student has already done some work in math. Okay. And this is our homepage, or our homeroom, as they like to call it. It's a dashboard. It's got some videos that will help you navigate this particular subject area. It also has study time, and it has the goals per week. So this particular student had a goal of 7 hours per week, and you can tell she isn't doing so well with that. If this was an actual student rather than a demonstration, he or she would receive an outreach call saying, how can we help you? We noticed that you're not meeting your goal of 7 hours a week. Do you need a tutor? That's one thing to remember. You're never in this alone. Excel has tutors who can help you via Zoom. So you can go to tutoring virtually, or the WC Online platform that WNC offers. So you can do virtual tutoring, or you can come in and do person-to-person tutoring, in-person tutoring. Okay, so that's available to you. So don't ever feel like you can't work because you're stuck. We always have ways to get around that. Okay, so I'm going to switch this study time to all. And that shows me a better picture of what's been happening in the last few months. So this particular student is not meeting the goal of 7 hours per week. In fact, he or she has only studied about 52 minutes in February, and somewhere between 18 and 19 minutes in April and May. Okay. There are also some free resources. I want to caution you about the free resources, right? The free resources take you away from essential ed. While they're very good study tools and may be helpful, just know that the time you spend using these resources is not calculated into your total study time with essential ed. Okay, so if I know that I need a little bit of help with vocabulary, freerice.com is a great place to go and practice my vocabulary and learn more academic vocabulary. But the time I spend on this resource is not included in the study time. And when we started, we know that our choice is a practice test or a self-assessment. And I said, take the self-assessment. So the practice tests are built into your lessons, and they occur between the levels. So we have a practice test between pre-GED and GED prep and advanced GED. Okay, so those are built in for you. You can get more. You just simply ask your instructor, or if you're totally online, your navigator, or in this case, it could be me. You would have my contact information and reach out and say, hey, I'm feeling good about math. I'd like to take a practice test. I know I'm not ready according to the system, but I really want to take a practice test. And I can 100% assign that for you. And the way those show up is just under assignments. And you can see that this particular student has been assigned the math GED practice test number 1. Okay. One thing to remember, once you start a practice test, you should finish it. You cannot redo it or go back to it. So you definitely want to set aside a good hour, 10 minutes to take the practice test, because you don't want to have to stop and not be able to complete your test. The instructor or the navigator can certainly assign it again, so no worries. We can always get around that. So no worries. Let's say this particular student passed whole numbers and operations, but only with the 70%. So the student can go on to the next subject matter, which happens to be fractions, rates, and ratios. But that 70%, they may think, oh, I don't feel really good about that. I'd like to redo it. I'd like to study a little more in that area. And the way you do that, you can click on the actual title here, or you can go to review, and it's listed right here in blue. Okay. And you just click on it, and that takes you to a review of that particular topic. So you can tell it takes a little bit of time.
Oh, hey, this is the lesson on adding whole numbers.
Right? And you have an avatar teacher or student, peer, that helps you through reviewing the lesson. Okay. I'm going to exit that assignment. Don't worry. The way Essential Ed is set up, you are never going to break it or do something that can't be undone. So don't have fears about just exploring where things are and how to use them. It's set up for you to do that sort of exploring and self-guided study. But you always have support from the Excel office. Just ask, just reach out. So let's say I felt good about the 70%, even though I didn't get all of the questions right. I understood the explanations 100%, and I'm going to move on to fractions and rates and ratios. So I'm not going to take the lesson, which should take about 20 minutes. Instead, I'm going to try and test out. I encourage you to use this. Okay, what this allows is for you to, perhaps when you took the self-assessment, you missed one, but it's a concept you really did understand, but there weren't multiple questions for you to answer and prove that understanding. So it showed up down here on your mastery plan, on your subject areas to study. But you can always try to test out. It's a blue link right under Start Lesson. And that allows you, it takes about 10 minutes. So it's about half the time of the lesson, or maybe even 5 minutes if you really understand the concept extremely well. So basically, you try to test out, and let's say you didn't have very good luck. You only scored 50%. You never cheat yourself by trying to test out. What that means is that this option, when you go back to start the lesson, the test out option goes away. You can only try to test out one time. And if you test out, it's fine. You move on to the next subject matter. Okay. If you don't, It's not a big deal. You don't cheat yourself. All that happens is that the test out option goes away and you have to start the lesson in the traditional manner and work through the information, which is probably good if when you tried to test out, you struggled a bit. So when we test out, just kind of want to show you that what that looks like. It looks just like a lesson. It's just shorter and a bit of a quiz. I always encourage students to do this. You don't cheat yourself, because if you don't pass, the only option to move forward is to start the lesson. If you do try to test out and you do well, you're not taking as much time for that particular subject. You're moving on to something else that you don't know, which saves you time and is much more efficient. Another thing that you gain from trying to test out of these subject matters is practice. Practice with the types of questions that you will encounter on the official exam, whether you're taking GED or HiSET. But you get practice with the way questions are asked, so the types of vocabulary that's used. You also get practice with the types of questions that are asked. So again, just by trying to test out, even if you don't score high enough to move on to the next subject matter, you're still really preparing yourself and for the official exam and practicing the types of questions and understanding the types of vocabulary that's used on the official exam, which is definitely a good thing to do, a good way to prepare for the final exam or the official exam. Okay, I do want to show you HiSET and the fact that it looks much the same. Backing out to our original choice page, I hope. There it is. Okay, so I click on HiSET Academy. Here where you saw GED Academy, now it's the HiSET Academy that's highlighted. Again, the content areas, the subject areas to study. This particular person is working with language. So right now, he or she is in spelling, and we can start the lesson and it takes 25 minutes, or we can choose to test out. I'll just kind of show you one of these quickly. This one goes right into questions, where the math was going to give you a bit more of a lesson. This basically, we're just choosing the correct verb, or actually the correct spelling, right? So we want blaming, it looks like. A new study advises against blaming. So we submit it, and that tells us it's correct. And we can continue. If I answered a question and I got it correct, but I'm not really sure how I did it or why it's correct, it was just my gut feeling, we can always see the solution. And in that case, it gives you the explanation, right? In this case, it's spelling, so it all deals with English, and that we often drop the E and add ing. So that sort of thing. We go on to the next question, or we can close it and end the assignment. The good news is that you can go back and retest on one of these, try to test out. Okay, so I can go back in there and take that test and move forward, I hope. In this case, you can tell that this pre-HiSET was passed, probably with the self-assessment. Okay, so you can tell how taking that self-assessment, if you have skills in that area, you can move very, very quickly through a subject matter. In fact, this says that I have about 6 more hours of work to do until I'm test ready, till I am ready to take the official HiSET test in this subject matter. Okay. Study time is same. The goals, where I've studied, what days, we can choose it for the month. We can choose it for the year, or maybe multiple years if you've been using the program for several years, but usually students use it, take the test, pass the test, and move on. Again, we have our free resources at the bottom, and it works exactly the same way with the assignments. Remember, if you want to take a practice test out of order for the learning plan, all you have to do is check with your instructor or reach out to a navigator, and they can set you up with those tests, and they'll show up under the assignment tab. In this case, no one has assigned any extra tests. Review, there's no recommended review because the person scored 100% in the use of commas. Okay. So this particular subject is the writing part 1, and you can tell that it's kind of highlighted in blue, so we know what we're working in. If I wanted to go over to science, it hasn't been started, so again, take the self-assessment. When given the choice to take a practice test or the self-assessment, always take the self-assessment. Okay. We'll pop back to writing 1. Okay. You can also message your instructor or the navigator in the system, so that's an option. Right now, no one's messaged me. The instructor hasn't messaged this particular student, so there's nothing going on there. But I can certainly compose, and let's just say it works just like regular email. So I can send it to myself, and I'm just going to say testing. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm going to spell it wrong, which is good. It has a spell check in it, and we'll underline misspelled things in red so you can edit your work, and I just send it, or I can save it as a draft. If I have messages or information coming to me, I just look up here and see, oh, I've got a few messages, or there's something I need to attend to up here. And that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and please, if you have questions or need some extra help, don't hesitate to reach out to the Excel office, and there will be someone who will be happy to help you. But enjoy Essential Ed. It's a wonderful, wonderful tool. Take care.